Good morning, good afternoon, good almost afternoon, as Melinda says. um, you might be able to notice that we are in a different place again. So if you guys could please let me know if the mic setup is working, if you can hear me. I tested it in all directions this time. Melinda, it's working. Inez, thank you. Awesome. I just counted and we have moved 5 times in 9 weeks. It's not a thing I ever would have purposely signed up for, but it's going pretty good, I guess you could say. So we are, for those of you who don't know, we left Colorado in June and moved across the country to Florida, and we are still figuring out where to live. So I'll give people another couple minutes to roll in here. Welcome to anyone who's new. My name is Katie, and I channel a group of beings that I call the Chorus, who are very loving and like to talk about human awakening and everything that we're going through right now. And at the start of these sessions, I invite anyone to write a question. Can you guys hear that? The landscapers just arrived next door. There's a weed whacker going like crazy. I hope it's just me who can hear it. So nope, don't hear it. Okay, good. Thanks, Melinda. He really revs it right after I say certain things. That's kind of funny. So at the start of the sessions, I usually invite any burning questions, anything that brought you here. And sometimes the chorus will just answer it in their opening message. You can also just bring it up energetically if you don't want to type it into the screen. And oftentimes they will address it. And then I usually bring them through. They channel through sort of an opening message, or sometimes it's about a particular topic. And then after that, we open up for live Q&A. So now that we're a few minutes in, I want to say that last session, which I have not posted to YouTube yet, and I think I will eventually, but last session, the chorus opened with a discussion that meandered its way towards telepathy. If you guys remember, by the end of the introductory message, they were sort of like, and you're kind of experiencing this, and you guys have this idea called telepathy. So we talked about it, and then the Q&A continues. And for those who were there last week, you know then that Maggie asked a question at the end. Now, unbeknownst to me, they answer Maggie's question, and then she asks a follow-up question, and the connection starts cutting out. Now, I didn't know this, and I have to say that I felt from the chorus and from maybe everyone else in the session a whole lot of stuff, way more than I ever have before. So it cuts out multiple times, and then I feel all of this stuff, right? And then the signal connects again at the end, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? Like, that was what was that? So I go back and I watch the video and realize that in the 3 minutes that they were answering Maggie's question, it cut out at like key junctures. So maybe only 10% of it was cut out, but it cuts out at like the home point. So I asked in the Facebook group, I said, did anyone feel like they heard the message, or did they miss the message, or was it just me? Am I crazy? One of those questions. And I got the full range from some attendees messaged me privately, some in the Facebook group. Some attendees were like, I got most of it, but I did miss some of it. Some attendees were like, well, I felt something, like I felt their response, or I trusted I felt their response. And then some attendees were like, I don't know what it was, but I felt something. So since that time, I have had some crazy experiences, and I would like to know, for any of you who were there 2 weeks ago, what's been happening for you. But I have had, more versions of you're thinking of someone and then the phone rings, or you think about wanting something and then it crosses your path right then. And then something that's never happened to me before is that I have been having very vivid dreams. So they're, easy to recall. And I had this one dream a couple of weeks ago, and it was incredibly vivid. And I told my husband when I got up, and then I go and I get my son up, and then we get in the car, and he says, Mom, I wanted to tell you about the dream I had last night. And he tells me the same dream that I had. It was a good dream too. I'll leave it at that. So I thought that was pretty. Yeah. Melinda says, whoa. Yeah. It was one of those like, what? Like, don't freak out. I'm driving my truck. He's in the back seat and he's telling me the dream that I had the night before. Laura says, wow, synchronous dreams, right? That's never happened to me before. And then just 2 nights ago, it happens again, but this time with my husband. Now, this is very poignant for me because you could say that I awakened before my husband. This is not his domain. This has not been his interest. I went through awakening and through a lot of stuff before, he really expressed even interest in this. He'd never, even before we met, like, gone to yoga classes or, how we all sort of venture in those directions. And so I walk into the bathroom, I'm brushing my teeth, and my son bounds in and he's like, I had this dream last night. Mom, what was your dream? And I was like, whoa, it was a rough one. It was pretty emotional. And this happened. And my husband, who was around the corner, walks into the bathroom and he goes, I didn't know if I should tell you this or not. Cause it was like pretty emotional, but I had the exact same dream. So now I think this is really beautiful on many levels because the chorus has been talking about, in addition to sort of telepathy and these things starting to happen to us, they're also talking about sort of these waves of awakening and how this is unfolding. And you could say that we are separate and distinct, that there are some going first. There's going to be others who just don't even get what we're talking about or what we're experiencing. It's just off their radar. But in another way, we are all energetically connected. We're all in this game together. We're all here together. And I find it amazing that after so much time where I thought I was, in a different place, potentially, definitely than my husband and potentially than my son. Now, as we're sort of coming into these places of awakening, I find that even though we have very different perspectives on all of this, like I'm a channel and I talk about this all day, my husband doesn't, we still have these moments of profound energetic connection. And I asked the chorus about this because, it's been hard. I mean, there was a point at which, I feel comfortable sharing publicly, like I didn't think my marriage was going to make it. And there are times when I'm still not sure because we were so different and we were on such different wavelengths. And it was like I wasn't even on the same reality. And I asked the chorus about this and they said, well, people in your life, I'm going to paraphrase what they said, but people in your life on some level are on the same wavelength as you. It's a much vaster level than we have been into contact with, right? So I understand like a good conversation with someone where I feel connected. And they're like, yes, and everyone that you've ever come into contact with is on some level on your same wavelength. And it's those wavelengths that have been inaccessible to us until now that we're reaching this point in awakening. And now we're having a moment of telepathy that sort of supersedes the belief systems. So on one level, you can have a conversation and I can say, well, I believe this and you believe that, and that's different. And we hear the words and we see each other. And we may even feel a division based on the differences in those ideas or those manifestations. And they're saying, yes, but on an energetic level, you had to be vibrating at the same place to even perceive each other. And now we're moving into a place of sort of directly accessing that higher wavelength, that vaster wavelength, whatever directional wording you like, and communicating from that vantage point. It's that place of broader connection. So now in season 2 of the podcast, in one of the early episodes, we talked about familiarity and how now many of us are having this experience where you go into a place or you go into a town and you like it kind of feels familiar, and maybe you don't even have to look at a map or whatever it is. That is the start of accessing that vaster place. From our standpoint, we call that telepathy because we understand the idea of mind-to-mind communication. And you could apply that term to that. But also it's sort of just an energetic expansiveness that represents broader connections. You feel a familiarity with someone or you share in an experience with them because you're accessing the perspective of the broader frequencies that you share. So I'll pause there. Let me know if that makes sense or if you guys have any questions. And we will continue talking about this, particularly as more of us start to have these experiences. I think they're going to show up in a variety of flavors and in a variety of ways as we go forward. And those channels, that broader energetic place where we start to have those experiences, are the same frequencies where I reach the chorus. Now they're leaf blowing hardcore on the side of the house. So hopefully it's just me who can hear it. Melinda says, is it possible to want those experiences so much that we hold them at bay from our experience? Potentially, but also not really. So as you know, the Course would say the conscious recognition of a desire is the first manifestation of its existence. So it's the start of it coming through. Now, we built the barrier of time to spread those things out, to basically shift our perspective into a place of it's not here yet by re-energizing this idea of time. Time required, linear time, takes a lot of time. It's everywhere. So once you recognize that you have the desire, it's the start of it coming through. And as you know from listening to the podcast and everything else, that's when all the beliefs crop up. That's when all of it starts being like, I'm not worthy. That could never happen, you know. But remember, billions of times per second. So this is nobody's fault. And it's not like we all have to go, you know, through classes or therapy or whatever to get through this. I mean, you could and you can, but it's a conscious way of doing it. It's more that we're all expanding through this stuff. So you're seeing the beliefs that are like, nope, can't do that. So when you feel that friction, you feel the desire, you want a deep connection like that so badly. And then maybe a fear crops up or the concept, the idea that you could delay that, you could mess that up, you could fuck it up, right? That's is really you seeing in a new way those beliefs enough that you could come to a channeling session and say, I'm observing a thing. I'm observing a thing about myself. I recognize I want this stuff so badly. And then I'm afraid that I might hold it away from me because I want it too much, or I'm not in the flow, or I'm not in. That is those constructs. So there is a period of time potentially where you're grappling with those beliefs and learning about them and allowing them in new ways and seeing sort of how they served you in new ways. And then once you move through that, you're just continuing on the desire path. You actually never left the desire path. You're just coming up to the different boulders that we put on that path along the way. Contrast this to before we started awakening, if we're going to use a linear timeline to describe this. Before awakening, we just straight up disallowed the desire without wondering about it, without realizing it, without having even a concept that there could be an existence where anything was different. We had nothing. We were totally overlapped with the existence and just lived it. So if anything, you can draw comfort from the fact that you are now wondering how all of this works. and wondering if that has an effect on this and would that slow this down and how do I get there faster and maybe I should release. All of that is evidence of awakening. And if you are asking those questions, it means that you are coming to consciousness of the boulders and your desires are calling you down those paths to see those things. And this is why the Course always says you can't actually mess it up. Which is so counter to where we are right now in awakening, because we see the way we did this. We're recognizing that all of this is there. Holy crap. But it's because we're being called in a new direction. And the Course just sees the energetic basis, which is basically if you want to be telepathic, you will be. No matter what you awaken to along the way, your desire is calling you towards the direction you are already heading in. Does that help? And I'll say, too, that the grappling is purposeful. So sometimes when we get, Melinda says, yes, thank you, thank you. Sometimes when we get into the grappling, it's first, it's like, it feels like, yeah, really, like, what is this? And why is this? And then as you keep moving forward, you get to a point where you're like, couldn't this have gone down easier? Why is it so freaking hard? Right. When you get to that point, you're getting really close to rolling the boulder away. You feel that way because you are energetically very close to a place of ease on that topic. Because of what you have done in living through that experience, you are coming out the other side of it where you say, oh, I see how that was hard and difficult and challenging from that perspective where I held those beliefs. But now I am fully in touch with an alternate, a vaster perspective where maybe it doesn't have to be hard or it doesn't have to take that long, or I could just go there, or maybe I could just call that person, or maybe I'll just apply, or right. It's that ease feeling of like, I feel like we could shorten this and I could just do that right now. That is because of all the work that you did to get there, basically in living and in being and in recognizing all of those things. So I am really curious to see what happens today. And if I've been cutting out already, I apologize. If I start to cut out, please let me know in the chat. I can still see it. And so then I can repeat myself. But I don't know what the Course is intending to talk about today. But I would say that, as we are recognizing that we're all heading into these telepathic wavelengths, sort of these faster connections, maybe feel in more attentive ways what you're getting from them. The words will be there. I'll post the video. But I think if I know them, they're pushing on our edges a little bit, which is they take out the words to see what you feel, and then they put the words back in. That's what I suspect they were doing last week. At least that's what it felt like to me. So I will bring them through. Everybody take a deep breath if you need one. Let's see what they have to say. Beloved ones, how much fun this is for us. And we hope that this is very much fun for you also. There is much to delight in your return to these frequencies. And that we understand that from a human perspective, it may seem unsure. It may seem as though the future is unknown. And it may seem at times as though the destiny of humanity is in question. And all of this is a valid perspective from within the game in which much has purposefully been unknown. And yet, from our perspective, it is completely known. For you all are completely seen, completely understood, from the moment of your choice resonating here to the moment you choose to resonate elsewhere and everything in between. We see you all from your vaster perspectives, from your vaster beings who chose this existence and therefore is and continues to be free to choose anything else. And therefore, from our vantage point, it is and will forever be such a delight to connect with the conscious parts of you in this existence. Because you can imagine that if you have all been here for many, many millennia, enjoying all the aspects of this reality, completely unaware of any of us or any of the possibilities of other realities, that to now have arrived in this day and age where not only do you contemplate and discuss these things with each other, but you are also able to reach many of us through, many of your channels, many of your particular humans who bring in these particular messages, but also in all of your moments of ease, in all of your moments of meditation, of calm, of observing a beautiful day, of looking at a starry sky and wondering what else could be, in your moments of connection with your animals, your family members, in those aspects of divine love that sometimes you feel even in the middle of a very busy and very normal day. All of those are representative of these frequencies where we sit and that you are all expanding into. From our vantage point, the destiny of humanity is assured, though there may continue to be many exciting events along the way. Remember, dear ones, some of you have chosen to vibrate to these wavelengths ahead of others. Were we to use your linear timeline, and in this context, it makes a great deal of sense to do so. And that is all right. Those others who will, for a while, continue to remain perhaps unaware of some of these concepts or teachings or experiences or potentials, have done it by choice, are doing so by choice, are continuing to experience limitation in an unconscious way for a little while longer. And so you are coming to a place of recognizing that your sensations and your perceptions are true and valid and real, even if there are very few other people in your lives at times who will validate those things for you, because you are recognizing a difference in frequency. Though at times you may become a little distracted by the five senses manifestations, by the things you see that others don't, or the things you hear that others don't, ultimately what you are walking towards are these vaster frequencies and your true and correct, infinitely correct sense of them. You never lost your ability to sense these wavelengths. You simply narrowed your consciousness away from that perspective. And now your consciousness has re-expanded. Therefore, as you do so, you will have moments of feeling like a five senses human that does not have control over this thing. And you will also have expanded moments of energetic clarity in which you see all the choices you made and all the things that you are rightfully perceiving. As you continue, what will become even more apparent to you are the energetic aspects of what you are encountering in your days. You will feel less of a need to convince others, to show others, to be validated by others, because first and foremost, you will sense their energetic resonance. In doing so, you will allow for their perspective. and you allow for your perspective, the need to fight or the need to agree dissipates. And in doing so, many will turn their attention towards you, for they will recognize the energetic place in which you sit, even if they cannot comprehend it on the mind-based levels. So, is there a great deal of fun ahead? We think so. Because in expanding to these frequencies, not only will you continue to understand more of yourselves and your potential, but it allows for a deeper and vaster connection, not only with all of we beings who are on energetic frequencies, but with many others who are present in your reality. It is the beginning of the party. What questions do you have for us today? So this is Katie. All right. So Laura asked, would love insight on energy and self-healing or healing others? Beautiful. I was just about to ask a follow-up question, Laura, but I think what I will offer is what we usually offer is, would you like to come up on stage, which basically means you just turn on your camera and interact with them directly? Or would you like to just like energetically hand the torch and they can respond? Either way works, but I offer that if anyone wants to interact with them, they can. And while Laura's typing, I'll just say, perhaps some of you heard in their message sort of a continuation of the telepathic theme, which is basically that today we come across another perspective and we start sharing the details of the perspective, and can get caught up in that. And they're suggesting that as we go forward, when you meet someone, the first thing you'll recognize is where they are energetically. And you can meet them at that level, or you can remain in your level and simply allow them to hold a different perspective. And in that way, sort of cruise past them. Does that make sense? So Laura says, I'm afraid I take too much time with follow-up questions. I guess they could try. I would not worry about time with the chorus. They have nowhere else to be by their own description. And I find that often we all benefit from each other's questions. So I will bring you up. Last week, I had issues with hearing people, so I think I fixed it, but we'll see. If not, I know how to unplug and try it differently. All right, accepting and connecting. All right.
I wasn't prepared to be on camera today.
That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we show up in pajamas or
workout clothes.
Right? All right. So I will bring them through. Dear one, it is a delight to be with you. Tell us, what is it that you wish to understand?
Oh, so much. So the question I asked was any insight that you could share on how to use this awareness of energy for healing ourselves and others.
We delight in these questions that you all have, in which you express to us a great desire to share with others these things that you are feeling. We will answer this question on a few levels. The first is that, by way of your energetic resonance here, you are resonating right now. By our view, you are a shimmering light, vibrating and dancing around. That is because we see, were we to use your sensory perception terms, we see energy. Therefore, we see more of what you are beyond skin and bone. You are each dancing and dazzling lights, moving around shimmering, fluid, doing all sorts of things. Therefore, when you meet another anywhere in your reality, no matter which subfrequency of your reality they are upon, you can't help but shimmer right beside them. Even if consciously they do not recognize or remark upon any different sensations or any change in symptoms, simply by their proximity to your resonance, they are affected. It is a rendezvous, as you often use this term, for a co created experience. What has been happening in the earliest parts of awakening is that some are bringing through these resonances, these recognitions to the conscious perspective, while others are not yet. However, the energetic ladders, matrices, connections are all being formed. You are awakening together. On another level, on a physical level, how can you heal others? This concept requires the idea that any symptom of illness that any one of your kind is experiencing is a representation of deficiency. From our perspective, this is not so. We do not find deficiency in any of your kind because we see the vaster aspects of them, how this was chosen, and how this has benefited you all, has expanded all of us tremendously. Therefore, we find that the best perspective that you can hold around one who is ill, including yourselves, is to embrace, allow, cheer on, support. These words, which represent a trust in the unfolding of the disease and of all events in your reality. From that perspective, very different action will be inspired. From that perspective, you might feel like going on a walk, calling a friend, doing things that represent those frequencies and bring them into your existences. So, as usual with us and with you, it is a matter of perspective. As you play with this, as you play with perhaps the idea of your shimmering light in proximity to another, as you play with the idea that all illness serves those on whom it befalls, you will have wonderful ideas for things to do.
Okay, so thank you. I appreciate that. A different question, if you can answer it. Can you share what dimension and star system you're from, most of you?
We delight in this question. For in asking this question, you have called to mind very expansive concepts of things that have traditionally been held at a distance from your reality. Therefore, we celebrate.
I remember. I have these terrible memories that I miss so terribly, so I'm curious.
Beloved one, that is the beginning of a reconnection for you. Understand that some of the aspects of these things which you fear are in part, in large part, the molding of that energy through the beliefs of this reality. From another perspective, the things that you remember might look very different. You are coming to understand your energetic connections and the differences in these perspectives. There is much in humanity's history that has represented for you things from which to run or to avoid or to be fearful of. This perspective was successful in preventing you from accessing more of those memories, more of those wavelengths, which might show you a very different version of those events. In all things, you will find the infinite. There are not hard and fast views of particular people or beings or events. You are stepping into your ability to choose perspective. You rise above the manifestations themselves. You are stronger than particular events. You are more infinite than many lifetimes. You are playing in, you could say, realities and perspectives and exploring them. And by way of what you are doing now, from this conscious perspective, you are expanding into a place of choice in which you can choose to view those things from a human, classically humanoid perspective, or from the other perspectives that you have held in your history.
So, which planet and dimensions are you from? And do people ever get stuck on Earth serving out karmic sentences?
Beloved one, we are, quite frankly, beyond your definition of star systems.
Okay.
All those who play in your reality hold beliefs. By this view, you could define your dimension and all dimensions therein by those who hold beliefs. We, at the highest levels, do not hold beliefs. Does that mean there are existences beyond belief? Yes, it does. And won't we delight in talking with you more about those things in your future points in time? But for today, suffice to say that we don't have a from, because we do not believe in place. And we don't have a star because we exist in energetic wavelengths where those things are not that specific. And
you
also,
don't have time either, I bet.
yes,
Yeah, got it. That's an abstraction anyway, right?
was a powerful tool
For
that gave
context.
many experiences to you all.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, enlightening.
Did that help?
Yeah, sorry I took so much time.
No, it's okay. I like those questions. And, for your last question about does anyone get stuck here on karmic cycles? It's a similar answer. From one perspective, yes, if you held the beliefs that put you in the cycle, sure. If
I
you
feel
didn't hold those, then you didn't get stuck here.
Yeah, I feel like I'm serving out a karmic sentence, especially because I remember so many past lives as an energy being, and I liked it so much better. So much better. Oh my gosh.
Well,
I hope
and
nobody recognizes me here.
say that again.
I hope no one recognizes me here.
It's a safe
I'm
space.
not happy being a human right now.
I get that. I've had those moments too.
Yeah.
But I think that it's kind of like the perspectives they're talking about, which is we often don't like things about ourselves here.
Yeah.
And I think we're go ahead.
No, I just think I overestimated my ability of what I could handle and what I signed up for. It's like, oh yeah, I can sign up for this life. And now I'm in it. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I totally can't handle what I signed up for.
Who is it? Dolores Cannon said Earth is the toughest school there is.
Oh, totally right. I'm with that. I'm not coming back to this planet for a long time. I'm going someplace easier.
For what it's worth, I think you're doing amazing. So,
oh, it's so hard here.
Yeah, I get that. Well, thank you, Laura.
Thank you. That was really helpful. Thank you for all you do. This is really important work. It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad you're here. I've had so many people lately. Thank you, Laura, too. I've had so many people lately who have been like, I just feel like I'm done with this. Some of them don't even know what I do. And then I get people coming up to me as if like ask my family, I will meet certain people and they come to me like, you get this. You get this fuck show, don't you? I'm like, okay, yeah, tell me all about it. Get it out. It works out. It's a great conversation, but I have not been able to figure out. Maybe it's that energetic thing, right? They know. So, anyways, I think we're finding each other. I think this is happening across the board where it's like, do you get this? Are you seeing this? And even if we're not seeing the exact same things, sort of on that energetic level, we're like, yeah, I get it. Oh, this is tough. I have a very good friend who may watch this eventually, who is sort of just like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, I mean, like, I get it. I get the whole thing. I get what I came here for. And you know what? I'm just done with it. Choice. We're all awakening to choice. And we're sort of like, maybe first step is, why the hell did I choose this to begin with? Let's review all the choices. Uh, all right. So, anybody else have a question today? Any other questions in the hood? Sorry. I see one in the ask a question if I've been missing them. Okay. So it was Laura's question, which we just answered. Great, about dimensions. And they're sort of sneaky like that. They're like, we're in the bandstand. We didn't come down to those levels. So great. All right. Well, I'll give you guys another minute or two to write in any other questions that you have. And in the meantime, I wanted to announce that we just finished book 2. Whoop. So it'll be in my editor's hands starting next week. And then, yes, thank you, Inez. Thank you, Melinda. So probably over the next couple months, we'll polish it up and then it'll be available. I think you guys will really enjoy it. There's so much I wish I could say. Like, I practically wish I could be there with you when you read it and just hear about how it is resonating with you all. So, similar to season 2 of the podcast, book 2 is about time and memory and also belonging. It's beautiful. So, just like season 1 had sort of awakening, it has that like spiritual aspect. Topic was awakening, so here it's about time. But then our human corollary is always representative of something that reflects that. So in season 1, it was awakening, an introduction to, but really it's about self-acceptance. It's about acceptance, which is transcendence. That we're coming to find new ways of accepting what we live through here. And so then in book 2, it's about time and memory, which is our physical experience of time, you could say, one of the big ones. And the corollary in our human existence is belonging. And it is so cool what they do in the book, the way they move through different topics and they point out these different beliefs that basically prevented us from feeling at ease, from feeling at home, from feeling like we could just be, just exist. And it took about a year to write this book. And at each topic, I would say like there were things that I was like, what the hell are they talking about? And then I would go forward a little bit from that topic. I'd be like, oh my God. And each time it brought me to this new sense of just like comfort in who I am. And it's like you could go into any situation, into any dimension, into any time and feel like you still know who you are. So it's not just belonging like at a crowded party, it's belonging across time. And it's so much fun. So I cannot wait for you guys to read it. Inez says, wow, yeah, it's beautiful. It's fucking awesome. It's like, yes, we can go anywhere. We belong in all of these places. It's this sense of invincibility that just breaks down all the walls, breaks down all the barriers of time. You just can go anywhere, belong everywhere. So yay. Thanks, Jane. So I will keep you posted as we get closer to launch, and I'll also be putting up opportunities for people to sign up for a pre-read if you're interested before it's totally polished. We put it up for a pre-read to get people's early feedback on it, and I would appreciate that support. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for being here again. It was great to discuss, and we'll be back again in 2 weeks. Take care, everyone. Thank you.